Joined here by Tom Herman, head coach at the FAU Owls. Coach, you've coached at a few places in Texas and now in Florida. What's the biggest difference from recruiting Texas high school kids to Florida high school kids?
Well, I think unfortunately for the kids in Florida, the resources in the state of Texas that the state pours into high school coaches, not just in salaries, but in facilities and numbers of coaches and teaching positions. And so we're fighting for that in the state of Florida. But any given year, you talk about Texas, California, and Florida, and the athletes. Any given year, throw them in a hat, toss them. One may be better than the other in any given year, but the resources and commitment from the state to this section of education is very apparent in this state.
Do you feel like you get a more hungrier athlete coming from the Florida high school than you do maybe a kid coming from these better facilitated high schools?
I don't know if hungrier is the right word in terms of the difference in athlete that you get. I think raw is the first one that comes to mind. We signed a kid when I was at the University of Houston that played for Katy High School, played in 64 high school games. They went to the state championship every year. He played on varsity as a freshman. And so that's a lot of football, and you consider what they do in the off season and all of that. And so a lot of times what you see is what you get when they come in as freshmen. Not that we can't develop them, but the gap between where they are and maybe their ceiling from a kid, with a kid from the state of Florida is usually, in my experience, has been quite a bit bigger.
Are there any crucial or pivotal position battles going into this fall camp?
Well, I don't know. We've got to solidify our offensive line. We've got talent there, maybe more than last year, just not near the experience. So we're going to need to come together very quickly and cohesively in that unit. And then we got to replace our nose guard, Evan Anderson. He was a tremendous player for us on defense last year, and we think we've got a couple guys that can do that, but it'll probably be more of a rotation than a guy doing that, snap in and snap out. So those are the two spots that I'm going to have my eye on, and then on the interior, and then when you look on the perimeter, LaJonte Wester led the country in catches last year, and he's gone. And when you lose the leading receiver in the country, you got to find guys that can fill that void, and it'll be, I don't know that position battle is the right word there, because we'll play 6 or 7 of those guys, but just to see kind of what cream kind of rises to the top in that receiver room.
While at Houston, you kind of built that place as what was called a giant slayer. Do you feel like FAU has the foundations to become the same thing?
I do. I think it's become harder and harder as the gap grows between the haves and have-nots. We had some really good football players at Houston in my 2 years there. We had 2 first-rounders, and William Jackson and Ed Oliver. Tyus Bowser was a second-rounder. We had quite a few really good football players. So we were able to compete from a talent standpoint, but those guys, obviously what made us who we were was the grit, the toughness, and I do think that we have that here, or can have that here, and we'll see if we have quite the level of athlete that we had there.
When recruiting a kid, whether it's the transfer portal or out of high school, what's your pitch? Why come to FAU?
Well, I think the answer now is why not. With the 12-team playoff, you win the American Conference, you're going to the playoffs. And so if the money is equal in terms of what you're going to make from a collective, and you're from the state of Florida, South Florida, locally, why you want to win a national championship? Check. Oh, you want to go to some Big Ten school out in the Midwest because you think, no, the answer is no. You win this conference, you're going to go, and we're going to have a lot better chance of winning this conference than some of those schools you're talking to are going to have to win theirs. And so I think that pitch, as long as we can compete dollar to dollar, we've got a really good shot at keeping a lot of these top athletes home.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.